Hi, I'm Marina Santos with the 30-Day Trial, and today I have a very special interview for you with someone who I've looked up to for a few years now, Dale Partridge. Dale is the founder of Sevenly.org and his blog, The Daily Positive. He's also an author, speaker, and consultant. And let's not forget, he's helping to change the world and improve people's lives every single day. So let's head over to Skype to talk to him. Dale, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and welcome.
Thank you.
So Dale, for the listeners who don't know you and what you do, can you please tell us a little bit about your background and Sevenly and the work that you do?
Sure. So I grew up as a normal family. I was a professional skateboarder at one point, and then before that, and I played baseball all the way through college, and thought for sure I'd either be a professional athlete or some type of world traveler. Ended up becoming an entrepreneur, starting my first fitness company when I was 18. Sold that when I was 19 for 50 grand, and it was my first time really having a decent amount of money. Took that, rolled it into starting my first rock climbing gym, raised an extra $500,000 at 21 years old and started a rock climbing gym, and then started multiple companies after that, bought, sold, had some really great learning experiences, was fired from one of my own companies, and then ended me on the path of starting a company called Sevenly, which is one of my most recent companies, a social good e-commerce store where we can raise money. Every item we sell, we give $7 to a charity that week. And we have now raised almost $4 million in $7 donations in 3 years. And I had stepped down in October to not be the CEO any longer and to kind of live a little bit of a different life in writing and blogging and speaking. And that's how I found myself on this phone call.
I have to say, as I told you before, what you have done with Sevenly and your story, it's so inspiring and it makes me want to do more and give back. And I'm doing this 30-day trial and trying to get outside and make somebody's day by giving them compliments every day. Now, my question is, what are ways that on your day-to-day basis that you're giving?
Sure. That's a great question. Generosity is rarely about money. Okay, so that's one thing to remember. And generosity ultimately comes out of time, it comes out of your talents, it comes out of your finance. It could be emotional, it could be physical. And what I try to do is recognize that there's a lot of gifts that I can give with my time. And typically when someone asks me for something, I would much rather give them money than time. And that happens a lot when people get very busy and become very successful. The only thing that you can't get back is time. And so when someone gives you their time, I think that it's incredibly generous. And most of us don't look at it as valuable for some reason, but it just depends. I mean, are you $1,000 an hour? Then I'm giving you $1,000 of value. And but there are times where I'm definitely generous with my money. I think it's the ability to be generous and to have the sustainability for generosity. So meaning this is when it comes to money, I talk about becoming debt-free all the time. Those that are in debt limit their ability to become financially generous. When you have debt, $50,000 in debt, in school loans or whatever it may be, my encouragement is to pay that off as soon as possible because it limits your value or your ability to become generous financially with people. It's the same thing with time. So what I recommend is putting money aside to be generous with people and to put time aside every month to be generous, whether that's an hour or 30 minutes or 3 hours. And I do a very similar thing. So I actually have a time bank and I have a money account that I actually put a certain amount of money in there, and I don't have any plans for it. It allows me to be spontaneous and be generous off the fly. So if someone says, "Hey, Dale, I had this church, they're really awesome, they're rebranding, and they would really like to have an hour with you," and I'd say, "Cool, here now, I'm not going to charge you, I'm just going to do it for free." And I don't do it just for nonprofits, I do it for anybody that I feel is authentic and genuine enough for me to do that with, and my heart, or God, pushes me towards these people. And then with money is that when you save that money, you have that ability when someone has a need and presents a need to you, because you have that money in the account already and it's ready to be given, it's very convenient and easy and very fulfilling. So I just recommend people to just, hey, put some money aside, put some time aside, and be ready to be generous.
I think a lot of people struggle with the fact that in our society nowadays, most people are just struggling to get by and go day by day. So in their mind, they think this is not a priority, and I have to take care of myself first. What would you suggest for people who can't donate money and they find that they don't have the time
Yeah.
to donate as well?
So remember that life is completely counterintuitive. Okay, so the things that we think are right, that our minds tell us like, oh yeah, I don't have the time or the money to give. We have been designed as humans to, that when we give, it actually, it just sounds so corny, but it gives back, right? Generosity is like a boomerang, not an arrow. Okay, you throw it out there and it comes back to you. We look at generosity like an arrow thrown into a dark field and we go, oh God, what a waste of time that was. But it's also one of those things that by doing we understand. And until you do it, you won't understand it. And it takes a moment of faith to say, dang, I'm going to give this person 20 bucks right now. And you walk away and you might not feel great because you just gave away 20 bucks. It's very counterintuitive. It's not logical. It's not financially smart. But you walk away and you're laying in bed that night and you realize that that was an act of love. And that act of love spawns this beautiful encouragement and uplifting emotions in your mind and your brain that just make you realize that we are designed a certain way to love people. And same with time, is that there's not many moments in my life that I donated my time intentionally that I regretted. Or there's not that many moments in time that I gave someone money that I'm like, gosh, I shouldn't have given that person money. If the need is authentic and it's genuine and it's real and you actually love these people and you care about these people, or they're just complete strangers and you feel for these people, giving time and money is one of the greatest gifts that we have as humans. It's a true act of love. Don't confuse generosity and love as different things. They are literally the same thing.
Sevenly was a company that grew very fast, and you went from having very few employees to having a lot of employees and managing all of them, and I'm sure that's very challenging.
Yeah.
Now, how much of your management style was based in giving compliments and positive reinforcement and praise to your employees, and how did that affect the workplace and their work?
Sure. So our tagline is people matter. So what does it mean to act out people matter? And we would always attempt to pay a little bit more than industry standard to do things that showed radical love that most places at work that wouldn't do. Like, we would pay for everybody to get their taxes done. So we'd bring in like tax CPAs, consultants, and do everybody's taxes for like all 40 employees, right? On Mother's Day, we recognize that, mothers are people, right? And they matter, and that families are really critical, and that most of the time we don't take our parents out to show them that they matter because we're broke. So we gave everybody on staff 50 bucks to take out their mom for Mother's Day, or to get them a gift, or to show appreciation. We didn't want money to stop their generosity. And again, by doing, we understand. So we give them this gift of understanding. And that's what Sevenly really was all about. We say, hey, buy a shirt and we'll give $7. And we gave them the gift of understanding. And they're likely to do it again on their own because they now understand what generosity is about. So we carry that through the staff and management style often. We were also just generous with our emotions, like the emotional bandwidth that people would have. Like I call it the golden rule. You fire people the way you want to be fired. And we fired people generously, meaning that we would always talk about the issue and not talk about the person. They're not a flawed human being, right? We're all broken, right? They just didn't work on the role. And we would try to give them a generous severance if we could. We would give them deals on trying to keep their laptop. I mean, there's things that would carry out through this. We would even write them a letter of recommendations for the things that they're great at. So these are the types of things that we would try to do different as a giving company, really carrying out those values.
Sounds like an amazing company to work for. Sounds like a great work environment.
It's been a great, I mean, I'm still the owner and still sit on the board, and we're still trying to get better every day on valuing people.
Now, in terms of giving, I know we talked about you can give financially, you can give your time. Is it different to give to people you don't know and to give to those who you love?
Sure, there's definitely some things that you want to think about when you give, but remember this, is that every human life is worth exactly the same. To say that this guy doesn't need something, compared to this person is a dangerous road to travel. There is something to be said about priority in your life, and there shouldn't be any shame or guilt in it. I'm a Christian guy, so I'd refer back to even some scripture. It says to take care of your family first, right? I think that's pretty common knowledge, right? If you have a great relationship with your family, like take care of them. And then I would say that would include your friends and then strangers. But remember at the base is that the guy that works at Walmart is just as valuable as your grandfather. Every human life is worth exactly the same.
That's a great response. And I agree, we should all be treated the same and treat each other the same. What is the biggest challenge that you had to overcome in your life so far to get to where you are today?
Companies can grow faster than people, and you can grow a company faster than you can grow yourself. So I would say emotional leadership is probably where I've spent a lot of my time over the last couple of years, is expanding on my ability to feel and to heal and to dig down through some of the ugly things in my past and some of my current failures and current brokenness, and be okay with who I am, because I know that I'm still worth loving and I know that I'm still valuable despite these flaws. I think that leadership in that capacity has been my biggest struggle, and it takes a lot to heal that way and to grow that way. It's not just reading books. It's not just learning from experience. It's literally mental power, emotional healing. Like, it takes a lot out of you. And that's been my biggest struggle, and my main focus for the last few years of my life is to figure out how to be content with who I am and to be able to have the capacity to lead millions of people.
How was the process for you? What did you do to come to acceptance and to heal and let the past go and be okay with who you are?
I gave a couple people permission in my life to just tell me the truth. And so I always say, like, if your friend's got a booger on his face, you tell him, right? Say, bro, dude, you got a booger on your face.
Absolutely.
And I gave these people permission to let them tell me the truth about, man, you're kind of like an ego maniac, or like you kind of come off like a control person, or like that was really rude what you said to her. And it's really hard to hear those things, but having that consistent feedback of honesty, it's an honesty loop, has enabled me to just be able to recognize some of these things. Because, again, I'm a good-willed person. My intentions are typically never to hurt people. But for some reason, we all do still. It's so dumb. And there's not that many people out there that I've met that are really just mean people. Like they're evil people. Most people are good-willed, and they're trying their hardest, but they still fail, and that's okay. The other thing is forgiveness, not holding grudges and just letting things go. I've been massively screwed multiple times, betrayed, broken, lied to, cheated on, all that stuff. I've been there, and showing them forgiveness is so powerful, and it heals me and it heals them, and it's, again, an act of generosity. It's an act of love. So those are some of the, I guess, practical ways that I've been working on it.
And what would you say is your mission in life?
Mission is to show people their worth, their value, and to help business leaders value them more than they value profit. As you know, I have a new book coming out called People Over Profit, and that's been my big focus for this season of my life, is to help the leaders of leaders understand that it's not profit that's green, it's people. And at the end of the day, people are what run businesses, not money.
When will your book come out?
It doesn't come out until April 2015, so we got a little bit of time. But yeah, working on just kind of final edits on the manuscript, and it's really exciting to kind of have that as a mission.
I'm looking forward to reading it for sure.
Awesome.
And what is your favorite quotation and why?
Speak to people how they need to hear it, not how you want to say it. It's the idea that you're thinking of others first, So it's really hard to do. I'm a marketer and a business owner, but the idea is really that we often say things to people because it's like how it comes out of our mouth, right? And without thinking, how do these people need to hear it? Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's that mentality. So I'm constantly thinking about how I should say something and how the people that are listening to me need to hear it. And it's served me very well in success in life and business.
That's a great quote. I had never heard it before. One last question. What are some tips and advice that you can give to people who are just either starting their business or a blog?
I think that consistency and discipline, they make up the backbone of business success. If you're disciplined without consistency, it won't work. And if you're consistent without discipline, it won't work. And they sound like they're the same word, but they're not. Discipline means that you know exactly what you're doing and you don't stray away from it. Consistency is continually doing that every day. So for me, the moment that I lose my consistency, I lose my momentum. And momentum is really a massive piece of success. So for example, you do these 30-day trials. If you didn't do one month, if you lacked your consistency, you'd lose a massive market piece and trust in a lot of people. And that's really hard to be consistent for 20 years straight. You know, that's the hard part. So consistency and discipline, it sounds simple, but it's some of the hardest things you can ever do in your life. But that's what makes up success. I've been running hard for 11 years now.
Thank you so much, Dale. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
Dale Partridge on Twitter and Instagram. That's probably where you could see most of my life, on Instagram and Twitter. And then my blog at dalepartridge.com or thedailypositive.com. They lead to the same place.
Perfect. So. Thank you so much, Dale.
Thank you.